Will everyone please rise, remove your hats, and join in the singing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me in the invocation. Our merciful, wise, and holy Lord, we acknowledge your presence here today. Fill us with gratitude for your good gifts, for the beauty that surrounds us with the bright colors of spring and impending summer, for the world of ideas and the wonder of music, for the richness of a life filled with promise, for the strength to persevere through our studies, often when carrying substantial other duties at work and at home, for the family and friends who have sustained us when the challenges of study became most intense, for the privilege of learning with others who care about learning and about the minds and hearts of young people who will lead and serve in another generation. May this ceremony be a time of celebration, a time to honor those who have striven so hard to reach this moment, and a time to seek your spirit in the lives and careers that lay ahead of us. Help us, in the words of the prophet Micah, to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Amen. You may be seated.
Welcome to the Gordon College Graduate Commencement of 2010. We have a long history of excellence in undergraduate teacher education here at Gordon College, and I'm so glad that in recent years this tradition has been extended to include our graduate programs in education. We are all richer for these programs and for your presence with us today. We celebrate the 13th annual graduate commencement. Today, a lucky 13, I'm sure. 51 individuals are receiving their master's degrees in education, teaching, or music education. As you celebrate this occasion and embark on the next phase of your professional lives, I want to extend my personal congratulations to each one of you. I also want to thank our guests for being here to help you celebrate this important milestone in your lives. I know you graduates will want to join me in expressing warm and enthusiastic appreciation to family members and friends whose support and sacrifices have helped make your achievements possible. As I've been thinking about this occasion, I've been remembering Frederick Buechner, who, before he was a Pulitzer Prize-nominated writer, was first a teacher at the Lawrenceville Academy in New Jersey and then later at the Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire. Buechner was invited by the headmaster at Exeter to inaugurate a religion program among students and faculty who were almost universally hostile to his department. He later wrote about how often he stepped into the classroom at Exeter with his heart in his throat because he had to face students who were not only extremely bright, but also extremely cynical toward his subject and therefore toward him. Buechner says, "For 9 years, then, I ran scared. And though it didn't make for a very relaxing time, I believe it is the only way for people in such a job to run. If they are not scared, the chances are that they know even less about what they're doing than I did." Maybe for you, like Buechner, there's more than a little fear as you go out to undertake some of the great challenges in education today. If you're a bit apprehensive, you're in good company. It's not hard to feel like butterflies as you attempt to be on the high wire act of the teaching profession. The good news is that there's more than fear. There's also joy. For Buechner has also written, "If you have found your true calling, it is likely to be at a particular intersection. And that is the intersection where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet." Surely education meets one of those world's deep hungers. I hope for you it's also a source of deep gladness. As you go out into the world to fulfill your high callings as teachers or administrators in education, I hope you will know true gladness. I hope also as you touch lives for good, you will see the effects rippling out beyond your best hopes and dreams, rippling out until who knows where the trembling stops or in what far place your touch will be felt. Now will all members of the Gordon College graduate class of 2010 please stand so that we may heartily congratulate you. Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. And now I'd like to invite Dr. Ken Phillips to come to the podium.
The first correspondence I had with Carol Stevens was from Karachi, Pakistan. Carol and his wife, Susie, were completing 15 years in Pakistan as part of the Wycliffe Bible translators, and they and their 5 children were anticipating a year's leave back in the States. Carol, a graduate of the University of Michigan, was looking for a master's program in music education, thinking he might return to the teaching field. Upon reviewing our program, he decided that Gordon was what he was looking for, and the rest is history. The Stevens family did not return to Pakistan, for which we are grateful, and Carol spent his last 3 summers here with us. Besides being an outstanding student, the thing I admired most about Carol was his humble spirit. This gentle man tackled the curriculum and being away from his family with never a complaint or a poor me attitude. In fact, this was a characteristic of his entire class, and for this reason, I have named them. And they asked me last summer, what are you going to call us? What are you going to call us? Because I always have a name for each class. And I've come up with the stalwarts. Given that our first graduating class I called the whiners, you can see how far this class has progressed to be called stalwarts. Representing this fine class of loyal, reliable, and hardworking students, I present Carol Stevens.
Thank you. Family, friends, and honored professors, we, the graduating class of 2010, welcome you. Thank you for joining us here today. We are deeply indebted to each of you, especially to those family members who have endured our absence and are burning the midnight oil the last 3 summers. The sacrifices you have made for our sake and your encouragement along the way have made this day possible. We would not be here, and still sane anyway, if it weren't for you. Though some may have thought us mad that first summer when we all donned birthday hats and began conducting with noisemakers in hand. Well, we have something much more valuable in hand now, our degrees. Fellow graduates, I can't think of a finer group of colleagues to share this day with. Each of you is an inspiration to me. Molly, your students must love you. You make learning so much fun, and I wish I had half your enthusiasm. Ryan, I will never forget you teaching us to sing Die Fledermaus with joy and ease, complete with thunder and windstorms. Brian, I'm ready to hire you as my personal band assistant and music tech advisor. Thanks for answering my many questions. I'm impressed with how you are taking music learning theory to new heights in your lessons. Lisa, you have a knack for making great music accessible to the youngest of minds. Visions of cats and mice will forever accompany any future hearings of Handel's Symphony No. 94. Diane, your perseverance and positive attitude have been an inspiration to us all. I've appreciated your prayers and your scones. Kristen, I would love to join one of your choirs. I can see why your students have won so many awards and why you have won their affection, and it was a privilege to conduct with you. Lindsay, what would we do without our +1? I'm not sure how we got through the first 2 summers without your level-headedness to keep us straight. And PK, I'm so glad you're here today. You brought a spice of life to our first year that only you can bring. None of us came expecting this degree to be easy, and it wasn't. But the joy we've had in learning together, I'll always remember. I can't recall when I've laughed so hard so often. Congratulations to you all. With such fine educators, music in our schools has a bright future. And honored professors, when I first considered pursuing a graduate degree in music education, you assured me this program would make me a better teacher. You delivered on that promise. I speak for us all when I say we are better teachers and musicians because of your investment in our lives, and for that we're grateful. You have set high goals for us to reach, and then took us by the hand and helped us reach them. You gave us the puzzle pieces during the first 2 summers, and trust me, at times we were puzzled. But then during the 3rd summer, it was amazing to see how all those pieces came together to show us the bigger picture. You didn't simply fill our heads with knowledge, you placed a compass in our hearts to point us in the right direction. In closing, I must thank one other. We as musicians love to create beauty from sound. As such, it is only fitting that we give thanks to the Creator of all things in whose image we are made. We delight in music because He does. We love our students because He does. May He guide you and give you joy as you live out these passions in your lives. Thank you.
Today, Nathan Bork is speaking on behalf of the Education Program graduates. Nathan joined Gordon's Revere cohort of individuals seeking licensure to teach at middle school secondary levels in the spring of 2006. Nathan's openness, sense of humor, and desire to succeed endear him to us all. It is with pleasure that I introduce Nathan Bork.
Thank you, Janet. Did everybody hear me okay? Now, before I speak, I'm just wondering if anybody's figured out these extra sleeves. Maybe one of our graduates has 4 arms, or I think they might be hand warmers. Good thing we don't need them today. Good afternoon, fellow students, parents, relatives, distant relatives, friends, faculty, administrators, grounds crew, stage managers, parking attendants, and if I haven't mentioned a category that you fall in, good afternoon to you too. I've been charged with the task of delaying the reception of our diplomas for 5 more minutes. I hope you guys don't mind. And by the way, don't get too excited about the diplomas because we're only getting fake ones today. The real ones come in the mail. I hope that didn't burst anybody's bubble. My name is Nathan Bork, and I'm a fellow graduate, and I will be receiving my master's in education in the mail. When it came time to write a speech, I thought about the different feelings that we would have as graduates at graduation time. I'm a math teacher, and I've been teaching 8th grade math for the last couple of months. The reason I'm telling you this is because I had to look up these words to make sure I understood their true meaning. Speaking of 8th graders and looking up stuff, I'm 36, and when I was an 8th grader, we had these things called dictionaries and encyclopedias. They were big books full of words, and you could open them up and spend hours looking up definitions and other material, but not these days. We've got Google, dictionary.com, Wikipedia, and handheld devices that can tell us anything we want to know at any time, anywhere in the world. Don't get me wrong, I love new technology. I just wish I had it when I was in grade school, but I digress. All right, the first word that I looked up in dictionary.com was thankful. It means expressing gratitude or appreciation. I know that everyone here wearing a black robe is thankful today for some reason or another. We are all thankful for the opportunity to receive a master's from Gordon College. Some of us are thankful for our family support, especially if they're paying tuition. Some students got to this stage without any financial assistance whatsoever. This makes us thankful for student loans and jobs to help us pay the bills. Without family support, students look for the school for support, which makes us very thankful for the outstanding administrators and professors here at Gordon College. I looked up the word pride and found that there were 22 definitions, and that just wasn't cool. However, I did find one definition that was perfectly suitable for today. It reads, pleasure or satisfaction taken in something done by oneself. We should all be extremely proud of ourselves. This is a tremendous achievement. A master's degree is nothing to sneeze at. It is a big deal. Think of it as another tool in our educational toolbox. The definition of the word choose is the power to select. On thesaurus.com, I found that a synonym for the word choice was option. And that's what life boils down to. We have the power to select from many options. We pick the road we want to go down, and then we follow it. And we all took different routes to get here today, but the point is that we got here. I've made some poor choices in my life. One of them landed me in a wheelchair, but I put that in my past and I look towards the future. I have made some good choices since then, and one of them was returning to Gordon College 4 years ago to get my master's degree. I'm very thankful to have been given the privilege to speak today, and I'm proud to be a member of the graduating class of 2010. Someone special to me recommended that I end on a quote from this famous person. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the only one to decide where you go. And that, of course, is Dr. Seuss. Thank you.
It has been a privilege to work with our guest speaker today, Jerry Dolan, part of our summer music faculty. Jerry's accomplishments and honors are printed in your program to read. What I want to say about Jerry is that I consider him a master teacher. Now, there's no place that I know of you can go to get a certificate to be called a master teacher, but you know it when you see it. What I see in Jerry first is an in-depth knowledge of his field and a passion for learning. Jerry is passionate about music, and his students know the wealth of knowledge he's eager to share with them. Then there is the ability to take this knowledge and sequence it in such a way as to make it comprehensible. This building block skill is essential for any fine teacher. Next comes the ability to communicate clearly and effectively, with a measure of humor spliced in here and there. A master teacher is in some ways an entertainer, commanding the stage. He or she also assesses the learning process frequently, not just with periodic exams, but also with frequent questions and guidance that monitors progress each step of the way. And lastly, a master teacher enjoys thoroughly working with people, respecting their differences and allowing for growth that is student-oriented and rewarding at all levels. These are the characteristics that I find in master teacher Jerry Dolan, whom I am pleased to present as our commencement speaker.
Good afternoon, President Carlberg and distinguished faculty, and good afternoon to the graduates and your families. I thank Dr. Phillips for that kind introduction and this opportunity to speak to you. I know for the graduates you did not do this the easy way. While colleagues were summering at the beach or taking evenings off, you were right here at Gordon College. You were working hard, and also hard trying to juggle family, a full-time job, and graduate studies. So bravo, well done. I'm honored to speak to you today and thought I would share some experiences from my 30-year teaching career, with 25 years being in one community. Now I know you're probably thinking, oh boy, here we go. But I do think it's important. We are now entering the most important years of your teaching career. You're equipped with new skills, energy and awareness, and a renewed commitment to teaching. We are all entering a very difficult time in education, where we will all be asked to do far more with much less. Despite these very difficult times, I believe it is also a time of great opportunities for excellent teachers. Take advantage of these opportunities and become the educational leaders in your classrooms, in your faculties, in your schools, and within your communities. You have the experience and the skills, and have been armed with the grounded and practical education that you've received here at Gordon College. You are no longer beginning or inexperienced teachers. You must become educational leaders. Our noble profession desperately needs you. I was recently speaking to a former student who graduated from Johns Hopkins Medical School, and our discussion finally centered around his graduation ceremony and the Hippocratic Oath. As you may know, when physicians graduate from medical school, the majority of all schools still have their graduates take the century-old oath. The Hippocratic Oath is believed to have been written in the 4th century BC and is usually interpreted as one of the first statements of moral conduct to be used by physicians. I believe it is an important oath or covenant that teachers should understand as they begin their own teaching careers or continue within their careers. I would like to share parts of that Hippocratic Oath, humbly paraphrased by myself, for teachers. I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I will respect the hard-won educational gains of those teachers in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. I will apply for the benefit of my students all measures that are required. I will remember that there is art to teaching as well as science, and that warmth, empathy, and understanding may outweigh any standardized testing outcome. I will not be ashamed to say I know not, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed. I will respect the privacy of my students and their families, for their problems are not disclosed to me that the world may know. I will remember that I do not teach just a physics student or a third grader or a trumpet player, but a complete human being. I will prevent ignorance whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all of my students, from the brightest to the least capable. Now, obviously, these are only words, but we have the ability to put them into action. Over my teaching career, some important issues have come to the fore over and over again. I'd like to suggest to you 3 obligations or commitments that would have served as my personal oath. These are not unique to me, but to all good teachers, and are qualities that I have identified in my mentors and my trusted and respecting teaching colleagues. First, we must honor our professional obligation to teaching. Now, that seems like a no-brainer to most of us, but it's not always evident in all teachers. A professional teacher must be an expert in the classroom, must be an expert in your area of expertise. Obviously, we cannot know everything, but we must be honest and open enough to seek out the information and seek out other experts in the field. Now, there is a little dirty secret about today. You must be a lifelong learner to be a successful teacher. Be proud of all your work in this degree, but understand that the search for knowledge and truth will take an entire career and lifetime. A professional teacher has a strong work ethic. A strong work ethic is imperative to your success and, more importantly, to your students' success. There is no easy solution, no shortcut. In fact, the longer that I'm teaching, I believe the harder I am working. You must have high standards for your own work and your behavior. Students will follow your example. You must be prepared and commit the time necessary to prepare in a thoughtful, organized, and sequential manner. A professional teacher must have strong communication skills, both in written work and verbal means of communication. You must write well and carefully craft your words. Poor writing skills gives one an extremely negative impression of our own teaching abilities. As teachers, we all have to speak to people. We have to articulate our points, argue and defend them, show some passion and also respect for that process. We have to articulate our needs to parents, to administrators, to the community, and to our obvious constituency, our students. But quite frankly, they're the easy part. In my career in one school, I've worked under 2 high school principals, 4 middle school principals, and 2 superintendents. That's relatively stable, but each with a different and distinct personality. I needed to find ways to communicate with each administrator in a professional, productive, and non-threatening manner. A professional teacher also understands that teaching is a collaborative effort. Partner with your colleagues to educate the whole child. Start with your own faculty and begin to reach out to the whole school. A strong school means happy and well-educated students. Lose your professional jealousies. We all have a common goal, educating students to the best of our ability. A professional teacher makes their classroom a special place for students. When students enter our classroom, it's in our hands. It's where our special skills lie, and it's our special time. No excuses. We all know there's not enough budget, poor facilities, not enough books. We all deal with that. When your students come into your room, let those excuses stay outside and teach to that special place. The second obligation, I feel, is we must honor our moral obligations to our students and to ourselves. We have a moral obligation to do what is right for our students. They need to be treated fairly and with equity, even the most difficult students. Students look up to us for guidance. I find this to be a huge and frightening responsibility. The guidance that we provide our students must be sound and grounded in reason. Always remember that we are the adults in this relationship. Children of all ages will make mistakes. Hold firm. be understanding, correct the mistakes and lapses of judgment, and move on quickly. We also must think like a parent to understand how our biggest supporters and sometimes critics are thinking. We must partner with parents to raise bright, healthy children. I never understood the emotional connection between parent and child until I had children of my own. This emotional connection sometimes paralyzes parents' decision-making. We as teachers play an important role and an important part of assisting parents in educating and raising their children. We also have a moral obligation to do what is right for ourselves and our families. This profession can be all-consuming if you're not careful. Success breeds success, but can sometimes spin out of control. Teaching can be very rewarding and can overindulge our egos. Let go of your egos. Although a healthy ego is fine, but teaching is not about our successes. It's about our students' growth and the process to achieve this growth. At the same time, our own families need attention and care. Many successful careers have been littered with the aftermath of poor personal relationships. Take time to nurture these relationships, and please do not bury problems at home by working more at school. It does not work. Leave time for yourselves and for your families. If we are to grow as teachers and people, we need the time. And finally, we have an obligation to honor the creative process. This is an area of teaching that I find is often ignored, but is a quality that is clearly evident in the most accomplished teachers that I have been fortunate enough to work with over the years. I believe that there is divine inspiration leading the great creative minds and personalities of this world. The composers, the artists, the writers, scientists, mathematicians, historians. We as teachers must try to understand and interpret their work and convey their message to our students. We become an important link from divine inspiration through creative genius directly to the minds of our students. Our careful study and analysis of these masterpieces, along with social context and historical importance during which they were created, brings understanding and clarity to all our students. We can provide our students with a spiritual connection to the great minds of the past and present, along with a joy of learning. We can provide our students with an outlet for their emotional expression and a platform for their own creative output. We can also imbue our students' experience with the boundless limits of the human spirit. It is very powerful teaching. This creative teaching is not just unique to the arts, but should be part of all academic disciplines. In closing, I share with you the final statement of the Hippocratic Oath. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art, respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of teaching those who seek my help. Now I ask you, what teacher in this ceremony today would not want this as their legacy to a career in teaching? So I implore you to go out and lead, one child at a time. Lead in your school, lead in your classrooms, lead in your communities. And once again, congratulations to all of you and your families for all your accomplishments today. Thank you.
It is now my privilege to present to you the candidates for graduate degrees from Gordon College. Will all of the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Teaching please rise? Will all of the candidates for the degree Master of Education please rise? Will all the candidates for the degree Master of Music Education please rise? President Carlberg, upon the recommendation of the Gordon College faculty, I am happy to present to you these students who through diligent study have completed all of the requirements for the degrees Master of Arts in Teaching, Master of Education, and Master of Music Education.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees in accordance with the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and by a vote of the faculty and the Board of Trustees, I take great pleasure in conferring upon you the degrees Masters of Art in Teaching, Master of Education, and Master of Music Education, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
We will now introduce the graduates individually and present to them their master's hoods. The tradition of hooding graduates derives from medieval custom, where hoods were worn over ecclesiastical robes and used to shield clerics and academics from the cold and the rain, maybe the wind too. In the United States today, the hood has become symbolic of a post-baccalaureate degree, and the light blue color of the velvet on the hood is emblematic of an advanced degree in education. Kurt Kylehacker, the chair of Gordon's Board of Trustees, and I will place a hood on each graduate, and President Carlberg will present to the graduate his or her diploma. The name of each graduate will be read by the program director. Will the graduates please come forward to receive their hoods?
Sharon Ann Amos. Mary L. Biggis. Tammy Ray Boncori. Nathan B. Bork. Elizabeth Brago. Julia Brink D'Onofrio. Leslie Ann Entwistle. Kathleen J. Frederick. Bonnie Lee Freeman. Stephanie Laura Glazer. Ryan Patrick Herity. Deborah Sue Huey. Lori Jean Hewitt. Elizabeth Renee Hoxie. Christine Marie Irwin. Wendy M. Jacobson. William Carvinar Yaris. Emily Caroline Little. Erin Elizabeth London. Christopher James Love. Amanda Ray McBride. Bonnie M. Miriam. Eric W. Mohan. Daryl Jamie Parsons. Noelle Marie Patch. Paula Rose Pellegrino. Josephine Joanne Prezioso. Amy L. Relihan. Jill Elaine Simmers. Dennis Anthony Walsh. Michelle Ann Soini. Cynthia Welch Filipino. Carolyn Lee Welch.
Lisa Amy Altio. Brian Michael Folks. Ryan Michael Landry. Lindsay Elizabeth Peabody. Kristen Marie Potter. Margaret Mary Quinlan. Diane M. Ray. Carol M. Stevens, Jr.
The following students are graduating in absentia and have met all of the requirements for their degrees. Lindsay Kenwood Anton, Abigail Marie Adetor, Lori Ann Gelman, Sarah Rosewig Kurz, Maureen Catherine O'Connor, Gina Petrone, Jessica Marie Regis, Natalie Marie Millworth. Congratulations to all of you. I wish you well in your future endeavors, and I hope you will find many reasons to return to campus in the years ahead. This ceremony will conclude in just a few moments. Afterward, I hope you will join all of us for a reception in the loggia of the Ken Olsen Science Center, where we will be served refreshments. Lastly, this afternoon, I'm honored to introduce Kurt Kylehacker, the chairman of our Board of Trustees. He and his fellow trustees make a vital contribution here at Gordon, and I'm pleased that he can be with us to offer the benediction. Would you please rise?
Above everything else, teaching embodies a willingness to serve others. It's in that spirit. Let us hear this prayer from St. Francis of Assisi as our benediction this afternoon. Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is discord, union. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we will receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. May God bless each of you as you go out from this place to serve one another.